so it's a good thing.
And
it's also available, and if you're a homeowner, you need to bring in proof of being a homeowner, that this is your home, either your tax statement or the filed copy of your title. If you are a renter and you're paying your utilities, you can also get this assistance, but your landlord needs to sign you know, a document saying that he's going to keep renting to people that income qualify if you should move out, and that he won't raise the rent based on now that the home is better and maybe nicer. But you know, they will come in. Once the home is assessed, then we put that information in the system. We will assign the work to, you know, qualified contractors. There's a contractor that we call them the architectural contractor. They're doing the windows and the doors and the air sealing, whether it's the sidewalls to the home or the attic, or sometimes they have to do some insulation in the basement, the crawl space. And then we also have a mechanical contractor which will come out and look at and assess what needs to be done with your furnace, and either replace it or do a clean and tune or do some repairs. And also look at your water heater, like I said, the more or less, mostly just like the gas connections and the venting for your water heater. Sometimes we do replace water heaters, but really that's not the primary purpose of the program. And we like to have mechanical work done first, because you know that drives a lot of the cost. If you're getting a new furnace, you know, you might not be able to get as many windows. If your windows need to be replaced, we do that. If not, we just air seal them, you know, caulk or adjust the fit so that they're sealing tightly, and thus making your home more energy efficient.
Well, that is fantastic. In fact, I assume that this kind of touches on what you do, Mike, in terms of housing services, or am I wrong in that? What does housing services kind of focus on?
Housing services is going to take and actually go beyond what Ruth just talked about, weatherization. It is part of that whole program as well. The house as a whole, we try to reduce with that program the energy use in the home. We try to make the home more comfortable, and we try to reduce the operating costs so that our applicants have more spendable income, which is especially important in this economic times.
And to qualify for the kinds of services that you provide, who or what is the application, or is it based on income or
we
ownership?
We have two programs. One is geared toward the Limestone Township area. It's called the Single Family Owner Occupied Program. We call it SFOR for shortness. And the person must be an owner occupant of a single family home. So they must own the home, and they must not have any significant liens against the home. They can apply to us. We have done the homes in this area for about 6 years now. We also have another program for the city of Peoria. We get some funds directly from the city, and we get some funds from the state of Illinois via the federal government.
And you use these funds then to pay for the improvements that you make to the home?
These repairs that we do are designed to bring the home up to code, make it more livable, take care of any code violations in the home. That would include rewiring, a new roof perhaps if it's needed, a new furnace. We would elaborate again on any kind of weatherization and safety issues that are present in the home. And this is a grant to the homeowners over time. There is a lien placed on the home for either 5 or 10 years, but as long as they continue to live in the home, the lien is forgiven, and actually just by living in the home, it is actually a grant over time.
I see. So there is no direct cost to the individual at the moment that the work is done?
That's correct. Yes.
It's just a matter that as long as they live there, it's kind of like, I remember back in the 60s when I was in school, if you went to college and you got a student loan, and every year, and they had one for teachers, every year that you taught, they reduced it, and if you taught for 5 years, you didn't have to pay it back at all. So it's kind of similar to that.
Yes, it is similar. The whole idea is to keep the homeowner in the home, and not and for the home not to be sold after the work is done. The person can make a profit possibly, and it's designed to keep the neighborhood stabilized so that the homeowner stays in the home.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, because during our first segment we talked about meeting some of the social needs such as the food and that type of a thing that families need. You're now focusing on the shelter to make certain that there's a quality in terms of the temperature, Vicki, in terms of being able to pay the bill and keep the heat on when it needs to be, keep the lights on and so forth. And you, Ruth, in terms of weatherizing a home to make certain that those who can probably afford it the least have a quality structure so they're not just paying for outside air because of leaks and things of that type. And unfortunately, that's the case. Those who probably have the least amount of money probably live in homes that have the drafts and the windows that don't fit and that type of a thing.
Definitely.
And so they pay a disproportionate amount of their limited income if they have even any income. And today we have folks who are not working today who last year had jobs and would have never found themselves perhaps in the situation they're in today. And they're really at a loss. At least one thing some people that are low income have always had, they've been in the system long enough to know how to contact. For many people who were once called the so-called middle class, who are now without income and are finding themselves low income and no income, probably don't even know who to call or where to begin. And so by just contacting the Community Action Agency, I mean, there are so many services and programs that the three of you represent, as well as the other individuals who were here earlier in our program. That is there anything else that you might want to either share with our viewers that you may not have touched on yet regarding what you're either accountable or responsible for as far as a staff person? Any of you?
One of the great things about the weatherization program is this year, along with this part of the stimulus package, we did receive the grant that we received pretty much quadrupled from previous years.
Well, that's great.
And so we were able to, we're doing about 4 times the number of houses this year almost that the agency has done in the past, and able to help that many more people. Of course, as we all know with the stimulus package, one of the main goals is to create jobs.
Right.
So we've been able to create some more jobs within the agency. There were 4 jobs, that 4 new positions that were created and people hired within the agency. And then outside, we had to, because of the number of homes we're doing, we've added 6 new contractors. Some of the contractors that we had before, I know, have told me that they've hired more staff. I know a couple of the heating ventilation companies have hired some more technicians because of the increased workload. So that is, you know, aside from weatherizing homes and helping people, you know, we did create jobs both for people in several areas. Like I said, the HVAC, the architectural contractors, and the people, you know, some people at the agency.
Well, I'm glad that you brought that up, Ruth, because I know there was a great deal of controversy at the time when the stimulus money was coming out, and there's still a lot of controversy. Where did that money go, and what did it do for me? Well, here's a living example of how here in the Peoria area, that stimulus money is creating jobs, and even more so, improving the quality of lives for individuals in terms of dealing with some pressing financial problems that they may have that they can't pay for, or repairing a home that might be in disrepair, which is even costing them more money because of the loss of energy and that type of a thing, or safety problems or code violations. So I'm glad that that you shared that. About how many homes approximately, or if you know exactly, have you been able to serve either in the past, or are you anticipating this year, or whatever?
Last year I saw that they did about 122 homes last year, I do believe.
Homes. Okay.
I checked the report before I came here.
Okay.
And this year we're anticipating doing about 370, 380.
That is great.
So that's, you know, a considerable more. You know, the amount we can spend on the house went up a little bit, so that accounts for why it's not an exact proportional increase. But, you know, you were mentioning earlier that people that are out of work that didn't normally apply, I know there's been a lot of people that have come in to apply for the program that I've talked to that have mentioned that, you know, they had a job before and now they, you know, they've never had to get this kind of assistance, and